Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of It's Soluminating, so where we talk to the experts at iBase-t and Solumina. Today we're getting a little further into the SIM process that we've talked about on other episodes, and talking with Thomas Jones today. He's our Senior Manager of iBase-t's Business Solution Consultants. Welcome, Thomas.
Thank you. Hey, Tom.
All right, nice for you to join us. So we're going to talk more about solution definition and what
Yeah,
happens in solution definition. So why don't you give us a little orientation about what that's all about?
sure, no problem. So, looking at the roll up, solution definition is one phase of multiple phases within iBase-t's Solumina Implementation methodology, or SIM. So, there are a few different things that happen within the solution definition phase. First being project kickoff. This is really where the project team on the customer side and the project team on the iBase-t side really get to know each other. We're going to talk about their high level as is process map. We're going to look at project goals, team members, really define what goes on within that kickoff of the project itself. And my favorite and one of the most important things that we do is a shop floor walk. This is something where the customer gets to show iBase-t, hey, here are the pain points. Here's what we're hoping to solve with a Solumina implementation. And it allows our team, the iBase-t team, to really go in and say, okay, now I'm starting to understand what you're talking about, because until this point, everything has really been kind of ethereal. It's been conceptual. This allows us to get a lot of questions answered and really help define what this project is going to look like.
So as you walk through and do this on-site visit, are you guys finding other areas that maybe we can address with Solumina and kind of collaborating with the customer on that? They can't, there's plenty out there, I'm sure we can address.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the opportunities are truly endless. We've got a great set of folks that know the business very well, that know Solumina very well. So certainly we'll go in and start to recognize and address some of the pain points that have brought us in to begin with. But as we learn more, as we walk through that shop and see, well, there's a giant dry erase board over here, or you've got a stack of papers here, it can certainly help evolve the project and certainly help the customer in the long run by gaining efficiencies.
Great. So any defining things we need to know about further about solution definition? What happens after that visit, right?
Absolutely. After the kickoff meeting really kind of comes my very favorite part, and that's going to be the user story and process mapping workshop. And iBase-t, our consultants, our tech leads, we like to go in curious. This is where we get to know our customers, to know their business. We start to look at things from a process standpoint. And there are two different ways of doing this. One is looking at it from almost a programmatic area. So you might look at process planning. You might look at execution. You might look at shop floor quality. And we go through with the customer and draw out our to-be process. We want to look at what out-of-the-box functionality in Solumina has and start to notice any areas of congruence and any areas of difference based on that as-is map we had in the beginning that we should have gotten within the kickoff phase. Now, the other way of looking at it is what we like to call a day in the life. So if I am a shop floor mechanic, what do I do from the moment I walk into the shop in the morning to the moment I walk out in the afternoon? What are all the functions that I perform? What are all the systems I touch, and those types of things? So again, we look at it from an out-of-the-box perspective. We note those areas of similarity, areas of difference, and then any gaps that may be there, we note within that process map. And the goal at the end is to really have a full picture of this entire implementation. This is what your project is going to look like. Now, once we have that map defined, what we do is we go in and add user stories. So those little small tidbits of user-focused information and functionality, we mark on the process map itself where each one of these takes place. So we know that we have out-of-the-box or standard functionality user stories for logging into the system, performing a data collect, authoring a process plan, and we mark on the map where those things take place. So at the end of your user story and process mapping workshop, you have a full, complete picture, not only of the process, but the functionality within Solumina that helps perform that process. And any gaps or items that we know need to be configured, we also note those on the map. So later on, when we get to actually building those configurations, we know they're still there, and you can go through and perform that functionality.
So you're looking at the full day in the life of an operator or mechanic or wherever it is, lining those up to our use cases and where Solumina can apply a use case to be able to do that. Put that in definition. So what's
Absolutely.
the output? What's the output of all that work when it all starts to come together?
Well, there are a few different outputs. You know, one is going to be a release plan. Once we understand what this entire project looks like, we're going to go through and say, okay, here are the user stories that we know we're going to be able to tackle within the first sprint. Here are the user stories we're going to be able to go through in the second sprint. Here are the user stories that we're going to be able to go through in the third sprint. So it's truly a plan to go through and help our customers understand Solumina and implement at the same time. We're also going to be able to create a backlog. If we know that there is a project, say, with multiple phases, we're going to understand what needs to go in this initial phase, as well as all the subsequent phases. So we're going to create a backlog of user stories and items that we need to address later. And the other thing, and this is, again, one of my favorite parts here, is we're going to have a list of all the value drivers. What are the items that are important to a customer? And there are different ways of looking at this, because you want to be able to identify value at multiple levels. You know, your C-levels, your senior managers are going to have some things that they consider valuable. This is what we're going to get out of this implementation. You're also going to have items that are very valuable to an operator, your person on the shop floor. So you want to understand that entire strata of all the value that Solumina is going to give. And I really like being able to present that list to the customers, get agreement that these are the items that Solumina is going to bring value to you and your business. It's a really good way of making sure everybody is marching to the same, the same drum, same beat of the drum, and making sure that we're all going into this understanding what value is going to be brought by the implementation itself. And again, the final piece I'd say is the complete process map with user stories attached to it. And the idea with that is anybody, no matter if you're involved with the project or not, should be able to pick up this document or this Visio file, look at it from the beginning to the end and say, okay, I understand this project. I understand the solution that we're going to provide, and here are the ways that I actually go through and perform this functionality.
Yep. So it's all about delivering value Absolutely. To the customer that much quicker. And it sounds like this discovery process is really what's used to get there at the quickest, to be able to identify that. Then let's map it out, come to agreement with the customer of this is what we want to be addressing, and then you get to work, right? So thanks for joining us. And I was going
to say, like I always say, our folks like to go in curious. They like to go in and really understand everything about our customers. So sorry, go ahead.
Right. No problem. I was just going to thank you for joining us, and I think
my pleasure.
Trying to keep this short, but we'll come back and dive a little deeper into use cases and what exactly is a use case, what does that look like, and what's the work that your team does to identify those and bring those together. So thanks for joining us today.
You bet. Take care.